are essential to our hearing, and they're incredibly fast. Your car engine will typically spin at several thousand revs per minute, but that's just peanuts compared to your ear bones. They're making a staggering 20,000 movements every second. That's like revving a car engine at a colossal 1.2 million RPM. It's an extraordinary feat. All the more so given that our ear bones do it routinely every second of every day for our entire lives. And that's not the only amazing fact about our hearing. We're also able to differentiate between sounds that are fractions of a second apart. Sound travels at about 770 miles per hour. So a sound wave will hit one ear at almost the same time as it hits the other, even if the sound is completely to one side of us.
Nathan!
And yet, the minute difference in time it takes is enough for us to calculate where the sound is coming from. In fact, we can differentiate between sounds that are just 1/100,000th of a second apart. To put that into perspective, that's like plucking 1 second out from all the seconds that tick by in a 24-hour day. And without this ability to identify where sound is coming from, all sorts of activities, from following a conversation to crossing the street, would simply become impossible. By 28 weeks, our fetus can probably identify her mother's voice, and soon she'll be able to distinguish between light and dark. But that's nothing compared to what'll happen when she's born. Say hello to Sophie. She's just a few weeks old. In many ways, Sophie's totally unique. But she'll have to get used to the fact that she shares her birth date with several other babies. Well, quite a lot of others, actually. Over 250,000 others, to be more accurate. In fact, worldwide, 3 babies are born every second. It's something common to us all. And by the time it happens, we're all big achievers. By the time each of us is ready to be born, our heart will have beaten 49 million times. We'll each have formed a full set of teeth, and 1 in 2,000 of us will have a tooth already visible. And we can boast 300 bones, 100 more than we will have as an adult. Some of those bones will fuse together during our first couple of years. But right now, the added flexibility we get by having those bones separate is really important.
There you go, good job.
It will help us on the squeeze along the 4-inch journey that leads to being born.
There are very many amazing things about the birthing process. The fact that it occurs at the right time, the fact that the baby and the mother signal to each other and they know when labor is coming on, and the fact that the baby's in the right position and that the contractions push the baby round and get the baby out. Most of the time, it is an amazing process.
Once we're born, the changes come thick and fast. We'll take the first breath of the 490 million we'll take during our life. But our first few weeks will be dominated by one activity. Whether it's breast milk or formula, feeding will be almost our sole occupation when awake. But how much will our young Sophie consume? Add it all up, and the milk Sophie's guzzled in just the first 2 weeks of her life would look like this. In fact, we'll all have consumed 3 times our own body weight in milk by the time we're just 14 days old. Most of the energy that we get from all this milk, 80% in fact, is used for the development of one essential organ, our brain. And over the next few months, it's going to be assaulted by all sorts of new sights and sounds, tastes and smells. Take young Isadora here. Once anything goes into her mouth, she deploys millions of sensors to answer one basic question. Is it safe to eat? So what's the most important thing you look for in the food that you eat?
I care about how it tastes.
Taste.
Taste.
The taste.
Enjoy the taste.
Well, that's not the answer according to our body. Of the millions of receptors we use to analyze the contents of our mouth, just 10,000 of them are taste buds. In fact, our sense of taste is far inferior to our sense of smell. Nestling at the top of our nasal passage are two cavities, each the size of a postage stamp, packed with hairy odor-sensing receptors, about 10 million in all. With 10 hairs apiece, that means there's 100 million hairs packed up there, making it 1,000 times more hairy than the average person's head. And it's all jammed up your nose. It's this number that gives your nose its incredible sensitivity. And where your tongue could only distinguish between 5 basic tastes, your nose can distinguish between 10,000 different scents. That's 100 different scents for every diner in this restaurant. And it's not just the range of smells we can detect that's impressive. Our nasal sensitivity is also astounding. For example, take a green pepper. Your nose is so sensitive, you could identify its smell at a concentration of just 1 part per trillion parts of air. That's like being able to spot a mere 100 blue grains of sand amidst the trillions spread out along this beach. And that ability to sniff out rotten food has helped us humans survive for thousands of years. But as we grow, it's our sight that we begin to appreciate more and more. And the numbers associated with our visual sense are perhaps the most incredible wonders to behold.